now with our GMA cover story. The 10 Million Names Project is on a mission to recover the names of African descendants whose ancestors were enslaved in our country prior to the end of the Civil War. Our own Chief Justice Correspondent Pierre Thomas went on a personal journey to discover his family tree through that dark chapter of our nation's history. Here's his story.
Almost here to the plantation where my ancestors lived as enslaved people.
Here on the outskirts of Huntington, West Virginia.
It feels strange.
Researchers from the 10 Million Names Project, which explores the genealogy of America's once enslaved people, trace my genealogy here to what is known as Green Bottom. It was a massive 4,500-acre plantation operating in a time just before the Civil War. I was shocked to learn it was under the reign of a historic and infamous Confederate figure, Albert Gallatin Jenkins. Harvard graduate, two-term congressman, Confederate general, and staunch supporter of slavery, kept humans imprisoned, treating them as little more than valuable livestock. This is also where my great-great-grandmother, Adeline Jenkins, daughter of Charlotte, was born into slavery in 1858. According to the 10 Million Names research team, it's very likely Adeline was the biological daughter of her enslaver, Jenkins himself.
Mr. Fain, Pierre Thomas, ABC News.
Nice to meet you, sir. Welcome to the Jenkins Plantation, the ancestral home of your great-great-grandmother, Adeline.
It's a blessing to be here, I think. At its height, how many slaves?
Probably would have been 80 to 100, and unquestionably, slave labor made the Jenkins family rich.
Rich indeed. In Congress, Jenkins made it clear he believed slavery was the natural order of things. To the South, slavery was the alpha and omega issue. Jenkins was cold-blooded about the slave trade, referring to people as property, saying 4 million slaves were estimated to be worth at least $3 billion.
His words.
And there were other chilling facts.
You had primarily girls, older women, and boys, because Jenkins made a regular habit of selling off the young adult males at their prime stage so that he could make the most money. At the records show, Jenkins was cruel. And of course, the overseers that he hired, even more cruel, to the point of beating and then salting the wound afterwards.
I just want to take it in for a second.
Sure, I'll give you some space to do that, sir.
Just a second.
One of the most difficult moments of my journey, walking inside the Albert Jenkins home.
It's hard for me to be here. It's a challenge.
A mile up the road, the slave cabins. Here is where my great-great-grandmother Adeline was likely born.
These cabins survived a long time.
Yeah.
The owner of the plantation had the power of life and death. I wish they didn't have to go through what they went through. I'm proud of them, but I just wish.
Pierre Thomas joined us now, and Pierre, watching that, I mean, I know how I felt, how emotional it made me feel. And you said, I'm happy to be here, I think. But this is initially a journey you didn't want to go on.
No, I didn't. It took me 2 months to make the decision to do this project. I'd always wanted my family's history to begin with my grandmother, who lived to be 100 years old. Wonderful woman, spiritual. She was the matriarch of the family. And I knew going past that would be into uncharted territory, into waters I didn't want to wade into.
It seems like you're still processing the emotions.
I am. Watching that is not any easier than the first time I saw it. It's a combination of rage, sadness, and immense pride that my ancestors could survive that. I had this weird sensation when I was there of closing my eyes and opening them and imagining what it would feel like to wake up to slavery. Mm. I could sense their presence. It was the oddest thing. I could sense their presence. And walking in that house, the plantation home house, the reason I was only in there like 2 minutes, maybe less. I could feel the legacy of slavery, racism, evil. I was drowning in it, so I just had to walk out of there.
That's all the evil. You talk about the pride as well. It's so clear that you consider the women, especially your grandmother and your family, heroes. Absolutely.
Charlotte, whose name I learned in this process, enslaved woman, Adeline Jenkins, was my grandmother's grandmother. And from Adeline, there was Sally Jefferson. I think we have some images of them. And grandmother Annabelle Brown, the matriarch, she's in that pink dress, radiating God's grace. And then my mother, who is the greatest influence, was the greatest influence in my life, still is actually.
And you alluded to the fact that the likely the slave owner also was your great-great-grandmother's father. And what was your reaction to that?
I still don't want to go there. A cousin of mine has done a DNA test, and she says we are related. That's another chapter for another day.
We're glad you're sharing these chapters with us. Yeah. I mean, know how emotional it is, especially to do it in this format. So we appreciate you in this 10 Million Names project.
And I must say, being here with my GMA family, you three in particular, means the world to me. So thank you.
It is a very powerful report. Thank you for that. And all of you at home can see more of Pierre's full report on abcnews.com. If you want to learn more about the project, go to 10millionnames.org.